episode of the Park2Park podcast, where we compare theme park offerings from coast to coast. We don't always see eye to eye, but in the end, we'll try. I'm CJ, and I'm joined by my sister, Alli. Alli, how are you on this Wednesday evening?
Hi, CJ. I'm doing great. It was leg day at the gym, so I will not be doing great in the morning. How are you?
I am doing well. Yesterday was Halloween,
It
and
was.
right on cue, November 1st, the temperature dropped. The high today was only 70 degrees.
Oh, geez, lucky you. It was, our temps dropped on Sunday morning when I went outside for my run. It was about 75 degrees, and that was as warm as it got all day.
Nice.
By the time it was night, it was about 35. So, and it's stayed pretty cool since then.
Nice.
Yeah, fall has definitely arrived in Central Texas.
Yes. And I just got back on Sunday from a very quick trip to Southern California, but I got to go to downtown Disney for a little bit.
Yeah, why don't we take 5 minutes for you to tell us about that, because it does not merit an entire episode.
No, it doesn't. So I was there for less than 2 hours. So my flight landed at LAX at like 8:15. It came in pretty early, like 30 minutes earlier than it was supposed to. 8:15 in the morning. Yeah, and I went right away to Budget Rental Car Company. The line was like 40 people long.
Oh,
and
boy.
It took an hour. No, I'd say it was probably 30 people long, but it took an hour. By the time I finally got my car, the line had like quadrupled in length. So I'm expecting those people were standing out there for like 3 to 4 hours waiting for their car. So in the future, I don't know if I'd go with Budget from LAX. It just seemed really poorly organized.
And this was not a holiday weekend or anything.
No, this was, it was Halloween weekend, I guess, but it didn't seem like...
Halloween was on a Tuesday. You don't
I know, but people go to like Halloween parties in LA and stuff, so you never know.
Okay.
But for it being like 8:15, no, I'm sorry, by the time I got there, it was like 8:45. So like 8:45 in the morning, like it just seemed weird. Yeah.
I'm sorry, that sucks.
Yeah. So anyways, I got my rental car a little later than I anticipated, but that's okay. I went straight to downtown Disney and parked in the Simba lot. And I was going to walk through the Disneyland Hotel first, but one of the things I noticed is, you see the Frontier Tower off to the left, and there's that pathway kind of through the wedding garden area. They've put a fence around that. Like you have to have a key card to get in there.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, I'll just go straight to security, which is by ESPN Zone. And I decided to save the hotel for last. So I'll get to that in a minute. But I went through security and I noticed the AMC theater building is completely gone. It was still standing last time I was there. They're making a lot of progress on construction down there. I went to the Lego store bathrooms because I really had to go. And I basically just kept walking. They're remodeling a lot, so I kind of wanted to see the changes. The biggest thing I noticed was Ralph Brennan's Jazz Kitchen has a lot of changes that they've gone through. They're not very New Orleans themed anymore. They are like pink and orange and white. So I have thoughts on that. I'll wait till you go to downtown Disney and look at it and tell me your thoughts.
I don't know how much time I'm going to be spending in downtown Disney, but okay.
Okay. So I continued on. There was that Uva bar in the middle and Catal. All that's closed. Walls around it. And then I walked into the Grand Californian Hotel and Spa where I used to work. And I wanted to see, I knew they had a cocoa cake for Halloween. So I went to go check that out. They had some fall decor setups. But for me, I used to work there. So listening to the music and just being in that atmosphere, it kind of felt like going back home for me. So that was just really nice to walk around there. Then I went to World of Disney because I had seen this Spirit jersey that I'm wearing. If you're watching us on video, it's the 100 Years of Wonder Spirit jersey. It's like black and sparkly and the lettering is in purple, and purple is my favorite color. And I had seen it at Walt Disney World and I thought, I really want that, but I want the Disneyland version. And I know that this lovely co-host of mine, Alli, gave me a $25 gift card for my birthday, which I had been saving.
I did.
Yes. So I saw the Spirit jersey, picked out my size. I went to go pay and I found another Disney gift card in my wallet. And I didn't know if it had money on it. So I was like, run it, see what's on there. It was another $25 gift card. So I had a total of $50 in gift cards, which brought this down to $30, which is pretty good for a Spirit jersey.
Nice.
Then I decided I'm so close to Disneyland, I want to go look at it. So I walked right up to the exit fence and like stuck my hand through the bars. I was like, I'm there, I'm in Disneyland.
You know
Yeah.
the meme where he's standing at the fence and he's going, "Let me in."
Yes, that's
Yeah.
how I felt. Yes. But it was cool to see, they do like the pumpkin statues over the main entrance, and Oogie
Mhm.
Boogie was over DCA. So it was cool to see all that. Then I walked back to the hotel, Disneyland Hotel, and looked around. I really like the lobby in there. It's got a classic look. And I wanted to check out the new hotel tower too, because, my concern was that the resort would feel really boxed in. But I have to say, it was very nice. It flowed very well together, and I really enjoyed that. So then I grabbed lunch at Tangaroa Terrace, and that's the restaurant connected to Trader Sam's overlooking the pool area. We used to eat there all the time. Now, I had previewed the menu before before I went there to make sure there was still something there that I would eat, and there was, but the prices, oh boy. Guess how much I paid for a cheeseburger?
I'm gonna say $17.99.
Higher.
$21.99.
$21 for a cheeseburger at a quick
Yikes.
service location. Yes. Yes.
Big yikes. Okay, apparently I need to get a little more in my food budget for my Disney trip.
Yeah, I will. Okay, so my total for cheeseburger and a Diet Coke was like $27. Okay,
Did that
that
include
includes,
fries?
yes, it came with
Okay.
fries. I will say this burger is a little more elevated than park burgers because they make it right there in the hotel. It doesn't taste like the park burgers. It tastes better. And it had a pineapple and bacon on it and like some special sauce. It was like
Okay, that makes
Hawaiian
it
themed.
better.
Yes. And you could choose between sweet potato or regular fries. So of
Oh, that's
course,
nice.
sweet potato fries.
Ew.
I did check the menu because I was like, is it like this at all quick service locations here? I looked at Hungry Bear Restaurant and their burger was like $13 or $14. So it was more reasonable.
Okay.
I was just shocked because last time when we were locals, we used to eat there all the time at Tangaroa. And I'm thinking to myself, if we still lived here, we would not be eating there every time. Heck no.
Yeah.
I was just really shocked that prices had gotten that high. So
Yeah.
travelers be warned. So then the very last thing I did was the pumpkin carver was there at the Disneyland Hotel. He was there for the last couple weeks of October. It's a friend of ours named Joe, a Disney artist. So I stopped by and said hi.
Excellent.
And yeah, then I paid for my parking and went home.
So I'm just asking because this is something that we typically ask on trip reports. Were you staying at a hotel or were you staying with family?
Yeah, okay. So I said went home. I did not go home because I don't live there anymore. I was staying at my best friend's place.
Okay. Okay. So
Yeah.
sort of family. Effectively family.
Yes.
Hi, Katie.
She's been in my life for like 28 years now. Yeah.
We love Katie.
We do. And Katie's who I'm going to Disneyland with in January, so maybe I'll get her to come on the show with us.
Yes, get Katie on the show. Katie, now you have to do it.
Yeah, they just bought their place and they're like remodeling the whole place, but the guest bedroom was ready. And she's like, I left a water bottle and a Bible on your nightstand. And
Oh,
she made a little like gift basket with like floss and a comb and stuff in the bathroom.
that's really nice.
Yeah,
Aw.
yeah, it was fun. So looking forward to spending the day at Disneyland with her in January. It'll be fun.
Yeah, you guys are going to have a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of bathrooms, shall we move on to this episode?
Yes, we shall. That was a weird transition.
Well, we are talking about Pooh.
Oh, that's right. I get it.
Jeez, CJ.
Sorry.
You're the host.
Oh, sorry. I'm still laughing about the bathroom joke. Okay. Height of maturity over here.
Yep.
Yes, so today we were talking about the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh and the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh, which both exist at Disneyland and Magic Kingdom, as well as some other parks around the world. We will start with our favorite things about the many adventures of Winnie the Pooh at Magic Kingdom. So, Alli, why don't you start?
Yeah, so I've been on this ride a couple of times, but I watched the ride through today, as we do, and I really liked that there are pages from the Winnie the Pooh books. I don't know if it's one or if there's many,
I
but I
don't know.
liked that there were book pages throughout the ride. I think it's easy to forget that this whole franchise came from a book. So I
Yeah.
really liked that constant reminder of it, and they do some really cool effects with the pages.
Yes. Yes. My favorite part of the Magic Kingdom version is the bouncing that the ride vehicle does when you meet Tigger.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. So for the Disneyland version, what's your favorite thing?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that there are no book pages in the Disneyland version, but I do like that there is an Easter egg from the Country Bears in that one.
Yes. My favorite part about the Disneyland version is that this ride vehicle has 3 rows of seats. So it's very efficient. I'm just thinking about other dark rides in the park and like Alice in Wonderland, Pinocchio, Snow White. They've all got like 2 rows of seats.
Yeah.
So I think it's cool that they increase capacity there with 3 rows of seats.
Hmm.
It's a very random thing to like about that ride, but you know me, I like those little details.
Yeah.
All right, opening dates. The Magic Kingdom version opened on June 5th, 1999.
And the Disneyland version opened on April 11th, 2003.
Time for our fun facts, history, and trivia. This ride also exists at Shanghai and Hong Kong under the same name, The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh, but Tokyo has a more advanced version called Pooh's Honey Hunt. If you have not looked that up, you should go watch it right through. It is trackless, it is very cool. So,
I have not.
yeah, you should go watch it. It makes me want to go to Tokyo.
Yeah, but I want to go to Tokyo, so I don't want to watch it.
All right. The Magic Kingdom version has an interactive play area called Pooh's Interactive Queue. Very original name there. That was not part of the original 1999 version. It was added in 2010 during the Fantasyland expansion and remodel. This attraction was the last time that Paul Winchell voiced Tigger, and he was the original voice of the character. The gift shop at the end of the ride is called 100 Acre Goods. Da, 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 da. And you can find Pooh and other Winnie the Pooh characters at the meet and greet just to the left of the attraction entrance at a location called Pooh's Thoughtful Spot. And in the ride, you'll find an ode to Mr. Toad because this ride is where Mr. Toad used to be.
Rip.
So you'll see a picture of Toad handing the deed over to Owl, and there's a picture of Molly and Pooh. And there's also a nod to 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which used to exist relatively in this area. So in the treehouse play area out front, look inside the carvings and you might find a carving of the Nautilus.
For Disneyland, there were plans in the late 1970s for a Pooh-themed attraction when Fantasyland was planning to be remodeled. The Disneyland's new Fantasyland opened in 1983. Pooh ultimately did not make the cut. When plans for Toontown were created, a Winnie the Pooh ride was also drawn up, but it would have been more like a tea party ride where you spin in honey pots. And that plan ended up being canceled. And another plan from the mid-90s included an indoor-outdoor boat ride with the Pooh theme. But by 1999, they ended up choosing a dark ride instead. Critter Country was chosen because Pooh already had a meet and greet there, and it still exists. Also, the Country Bears had a plan to be replaced by the Critter Country 500 attraction. That was rejected by management. That was going to be a racing ride, and that just sounds absolutely wild.
Yeah, I'm really curious how that would have gone down, and I kind of want to research it a little more to see if we can like dig up some details on that.
That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so Pooh went in where Country Bear Jamboree was, but the Country Bear Jamboree did not go away entirely because you can find Max, Buff, and Melvin inside the ride if you know where to look. Jim Cummings did the voice of Tigger in this attraction. And Disney Imagineer Raymond Kinman, he's a woodcarver. He did the entrance sign. He is also known for doing the Country Bear Playhouse sign, the sign for the Pooh Corner Shop, and the Hungry sign at the Hungry Bear restaurant. The gift shop is called Pooh Corner, and there is a Pooh and Friends meet and greet location between the ride exit and the gift shop.
Yeah, there's a lot of Pooh stuff in both of these parks, really.
Yeah, lots of Pooh. Pooh everywhere.
I should also mention that there is a Winnie the Pooh meet and greet over in the UK pavilion at Epcot. I believe it just came back maybe I might be misremembering that. But it's way in the back corner of the UK pavilion, or it was before COVID at least. And occasionally over by Figment, you'll find Pooh standing in the grass with a butterfly net. And it's so funny to me.
You know what? When we were there at Epcot, I was going over to the bathroom and I saw Pooh there. It's
You
standing
saw
in the grass,
him.
but he didn't have a butterfly net. He was doing his up, down, touch the ground exercises, and he was leading a little exercise class.
Yeah, that Pooh is so funny. Like, he's sometimes just standing there catching invisible butterflies. Sometimes he's like smelling the bushes. I'm just like, what is this Pooh doing? It's very funny to me every time. Okay, let's talk about location and land. The Magic Kingdom version is located in Fantasyland in the former spot of Mr. Toad across from Seven Dwarfs Mine Train.
The Disneyland version is in Critter Country in the back corner on the right, across from Splash Mountain near the Hungry Bear restaurant where the Country Bear Jamboree used to be.
I think it's
many moons ago.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Both of these attractions took the spot of older classic attractions.
That you can ride in the other parks or
Oh,
experience.
that's true.
Yeah.
Like you can flip-flop it. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, and I feel like there's a contingency of people at Magic Kingdom that are like, bring back Mr. Toad. And there's a contingency of people at Disneyland that are like, bring back Country Bears. So it's kind of interesting.
I feel like the people who are bring back Country Bears is a way smaller contingency than the bring back Toad people.
I would agree with that. The queue of the ride in the exterior, at Magic Kingdom, it's outdoors, but mostly covered, like 80 to 90% covered. And there's some interactive spots, like I said, in Rabbit's Garden in the queue. So some of the things you can do are push the honeybees on one of those metal rod tracks, that kids like to play with.
Yeah.
And there's touchscreen dripping honey that you can play with. But basically for the queue, you enter under Treehouse, walk through the garden area, and then you'll pass by some giant book pages from the Winnie the Pooh stories, which sets the mood for the ride. And if you read those pages, you'll learn about what you'll see on the ride. And the queue itself is kind of loud with the interactive play area, so just keep that in mind.
At Disneyland, the queue itself is entirely outdoors. The only covered portion is the very beginning when you walk over a covered bridge to an area of switchbacks. You also go under the train, the Disneyland Railroad, and there's not a lot to look at. There's nothing interactive. You just make your way up to the loading area.
Yep. So the music is Winnie the Pooh music lightly playing in the background. And like I said, those interactive elements are really loud. There's something that the kids like turn or push and these balls pop up and down, and it's like pop, pop. The popping is really loud. I know my children would be very distracted by that sound.
At Disneyland, you get ambient Critter Country noise and possibly some Splash Mountain noise because it's like right there, and occasionally some train noise because you're right underneath it. And beyond all that, there is some Winnie the Pooh music playing.
For the ride vehicle, you ride in a honey pot at Magic Kingdom, and there's 2 rows of seats, and each row seats 2 or a small 3.
At Disneyland, you ride in a beehive, and it's the only park that has a beehive for the ride vehicle. As CJ mentioned at the top of this podcast, there are 3 rows of seats, and each row seats 2 or a small 3.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to be a party of 2 on that ride because a lot of times they'll have, families with kids, and they'll have a party of 4 or 5, and then they'll be like, okay, party of 2, any parties of 2, and you'll move up in the queue.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about the general storyline and route to this attraction. So this is straight from the Walt Disney World website. It says, be swept away by a gust of wind with Gopher, Piglet, Eeyore, Kanga, and Roo before sliding inside Owl's house. Bob up and down with Tigger during a hide-and-seek adventure. Enter a dream world where singing heffalumps and woozles spring up and down. It's a delightful romp through scenes and songs made famous in the classic Disney film Winnie the Pooh. Before saying goodbye to new friends, celebrate with Pooh as he finally gets his paws on what he's been searching for. So basically, we talked about the storybook pages, and you enter the ride through a storybook page, where the narrator starts narrating about the 100-acre wood, and you see characters on a windy Wednesday. Then you go through Owl's house, which is collapsing in the wind, and that's where you'll see the Mr. Toad Easter eggs. Then you see Tigger, and your vehicle starts bouncing up and down as you travel through the 100-acre wood. Tigger then invites you to follow him right this way, where he comes across a sleeping Pooh, and he warns Pooh about the heffalumps and woozles who steal honey. Pooh is asleep, and we see Dream Pooh elevate from his body to the wild heffalumps and woozle scenes. And that's like a funhouse themed area with mirrors and larger than life heffalumps and woozles. The transition scene from there is through giant watering cans, and now you're in a rainy room where everything is flooding. And Eeyore says, "First the wind, and now this," which I quote frequently. Then we see Pooh stuck in a tree as he's trying to get the honey despite it raining like crazy outside. Then suddenly the rain goes away and everyone says, "Hooray!" as Pooh has got his honey. And you go past a few more pages from the storybook to the unload zone.
So I just want to note a couple of things in this description. First of all, we have this in Google Docs where heffalumps is not marked as a typo, but woozles is.
Interesting.
So I think that's pretty funny. Also, the way we have honey spelled, which is the way Pooh spells it, it's also not marked as a typo. Wednesday with wind.
Wednesday. Yeah, that's not marked as a typo, and I even capitalized it, like Wednesday.
So this just goes to show that you can't always trust your spell checker.
All right, tell us about the Disneyland version of this ride.
So from the Disneyland website, it says, "Get lost in the pages of A.A. Milne's classic tales as you glide through Pooh's most memorable adventures. Board your beehive and get swept up in a gust of wind with Piglet, Gopher, Eeyore, Kanga, and Roo. Band together with Tigger and friends to stay afloat in a torrential downpour. Celebrate sunny days and togetherness as Pooh finally gets his paws on some honey. This visual extravaganza filled with classic Disney songs is sure to delight cubs of all ages." The Disneyland website also notes that the songs were written by the Sherman Brothers.
Oh, okay.
So it's a different order for the Disneyland version. You start with the wind, and then you go immediately into the rain. Like, what is this, a hurricane? Anyways, Tigger appears. You have the sleeping Pooh, and you get the heffalump and woozle room. Pooh acknowledges the fact that it's a dream, and he says, "Oh, it's a very good dream," because he's chomping down on some honey. And then Piglet wakes Pooh up, and they have a birthday party for him.
You know what my favorite part of the birthday party scene is?
What's that?
There's a clock, and instead of the number 12, there's a cake.
That's
pointing
cute.
to the slice of cake.
That's really cute.
I want it to be cake o'clock all the time. All right, let's talk about the exit queue experience. At Magic Kingdom, you just walk down a ramp to the gift shop.
At Disneyland, it's basically you walk down the ramp, but there's also a stream with a little waterfall, and you aren't directed directly into the gift shop. The gift shop is on the right, and it's a candy shop. So you definitely want to stop in there, and the rest of Critter Country is in front of you and to the left.
There are no height requirements for either version of this ride.
And they are both open during fireworks and rain.
Magic Kingdom version has Lightning Lane, Disneyland version does not, and neither one of them has single rider. All right.
Okay.
Now that we've got the facts laid out, it's time for the final showdown. Does one Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh attraction stand out above the other? Alli, tell me what you're thinking about Pooh on this lovely Wednesday evening. Wednesday evening.
It is a Wednesday evening. CJ, I think about Pooh a lot.
Okay.
IBD gang. Anyways, poop jokes. We love them. Yeah. In terms of Winnie the Pooh, I think to me that there is a standout on this one.
Oh.
And yeah. It's Disney World for me. So for me, first of all, it starts off with the queue. The queue at Disneyland is boring. The queue at Magic Kingdom is engaging and interactive for kids of all ages. At Magic Kingdom, you tie back to the original story with all of the book pages. And at Magic Kingdom, I think that the transitions between scenes are a lot better. It's less abrupt.
It's so funny that you're saying all this because I'm picking Disneyland for like all the same reasons as you picked the Magic Kingdom version.
Like the same but opposite?
Yes. Yes. I think Winnie the Pooh being in Critter Country makes sense. They live in the 100-acre wood, not in a medieval Fantasyland village. That doesn't make sense.
Okay.
I like walking through the nature and by the little stream to see, it's like you're in the woods with Pooh and friends. And as far as the transition goes, you were like wind and then the rain. What is this? A hurricane? I think it makes sense because here in Florida, the wind comes in and then the rain comes in. So to me, I'm like, oh yeah, it's like Florida weather. The other thing is, I think in the Magic Kingdom version, the transition at the end where the rain just randomly goes away and everybody says hooray and it's all good, like I'm a little confused. That feels very abrupt to me. Versus Piglet says, Pooh, wake up, Pooh. And then Pooh realizes, like, oh my gosh, it was a dream. And now it's my birthday. Like, it's time for your party. Wake up. I think that's a really cool transition. So I think the transitions in the Magic Kingdom version are actually better than in the Disneyland version are better than the ones at the Magic Kingdom version.
Okay. Well, this has been a very interesting
Yes.
comparison.
Yes. I just like really disagree with you on all that you said.
Okay. I just also want to say that I never said anything about Pooh not fitting into Critter Country. I think Pooh fits in perfectly with Critter Country.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. If it wasn't in Fantasyland at Magic Kingdom or Walt Disney World, where would you put it? Because there is no Critter
there's no
Country
Critter
in
Country.
Magic Kingdom.
Maybe Frontierland?
Okay.
Maybe. Or like Epcot, put it in the UK pavilion because Pooh's already over there.
Yeah.
And it's, a British book.
I would almost put it in Hollywood Studios because it had that TV series for so long and the movies and stuff.
What part of Hollywood Studios?
See, in my perfect world, there would be like a children's cartoon ride section where Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway would go, where Pooh would go, Disney Junior Dance Show, whatever it's called, would go.
So you just want to like nuke the park and start over where
Yes.
I'm putting it into an existing part of the park.
Yes.
So,
yes.
I mean,
yes, I see your point about the UK pavilion. But you know how I feel about IPs and Epcot, so I'm not like a huge fan of that. I think it's fine in Fantasyland. I don't see it. Obviously, Tomorrowland and Main Street aren't the answer. Adventureland is a no. Frontierland, I could maybe see. Maybe.
Yeah, I was just thinking that because it's the most like foresty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. And like doesn't Splash Mountain live in Frontierland?
Yeah, it does.
So, that parallels to Disneyland.
Yeah, it does. All right, well, that was kind of interesting. Oh, I also want to point out you can also see Pooh and Friends at the Crystal Palace in Magic Kingdom.
That's a restaurant?
Yes, it's at the end of Main Street if you're looking at the castle on the left.
Okay, and that's like character dining?
Yes, I've eaten there once.
They don't just like show up.
They don't just show up. It's character dining.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they serve honey?
That I don't know.
I feel like
they
that's
might
very
with
important.
Breakfast. They might with their breakfast food. I don't know.
I feel like if I were to do character dining there, I would make sure that I got like one of those little honey things, and I would make sure it ended up in Pooh Bear's hands.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, we are very split on this episode. The only common
that was
ground.
Interesting.
The only common ground we have is yes, it makes sense in Critter Country.
Yeah. And I don't disagree. The queue is very peaceful in Critter Country. It's just also boring. And I'm thinking about like kids who like need to be engaged.
Okay, but at Magic Kingdom, the line gets so backed up because Lightning Lane. And so they need something to do. Like I've seen that line like 45 minutes long versus at Disneyland, a 20-minute wait is a long wait for that ride.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different circumstances, I think. So the lack of entertainment in the line at Disneyland, I don't think is a problem. I mean, if you're waiting more than 20 minutes for Winnie the Pooh at Disneyland, you're in for a rough day at Disneyland.
Yeah, it's pretty crowded, and you probably should have picked a different day.
Yep. All right. Well, that concludes this episode. What are we talking about next episode?
Well, CJ, in exactly 19 days, I will be at Disneyland. And then in exactly 20 days, I will be at California Adventure.
That's my excited noise.
We will be covering my trip to Disneyland and California Adventure, and I might be able to talk my husband into coming on the show just for a little bit to talk about the lightsaber building experience, because he is possibly the biggest Star Wars nerd that I know. So
Cool.
yeah.
You want to talk about some of your like dining reservations and stuff you have?
Like right now?
Yeah, sure. What
Just
reservations do you
confirming.
have? Yes.
So we have a reservation at Oga's Cantina on our Disneyland evening. A little bit complicated. I was told 2 weeks after the fact that 2 people are going to be joining us who weren't originally in our party. So I have been scrambling for the last couple of weeks, checking every day to see if I can modify our reservation to a party of 6 instead of a party of 4. And it's just not working out for me. So we'll see what happens with that. And then at DCA, we have, what is the Italian restaurant in DCA?
Wine Country Trattoria.
That's the one. We have a lunch reservation at Wine Country Trattoria, and we intend to do the World of Color dining package so that I don't have to worry about getting us World of Color admission entry, however they're doing it these days. I don't want to have to think about it. Just feed me and let me in.
Nice. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah. I think our other meal plan for Disneyland, because obviously we have multiple meals to eat there. Oga's Cantina isn't really a meal. It's more of like a, let's like chill and have some drinks. We are going to be going to Pizza Planet because that Far Out Chicken Fusilli, which it's called something else now, but the Far Out Chicken Fusilli is so good.
Nice.
And I know my husband is absolutely craving that because it's been ages since he's had it. And one of our party members is gluten-free, and he can get some gluten-free pizza there.
Nice.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's all we got.
Awesome. Well, I'm excited for your trip. Excited to hear about it. And yeah, so that'll be our next episode.
Yeah.
Now, what was I going to say? Oh, thank you for joining us. The outro, the last part of the show. Thank you for joining us as we dove into the 100-acre wood. We'll see you next time for our next episode. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Park2Park Pod. That's with the number 2. Email us with any questions, comments, feedback, episode ideas, or more at park2parkpod@gmail.com. Again, with the number 2. And if you'd like to be a guest on the show for a trip report or anything like that, feel free to drop us a line. Also, give us a review on Apple, on iTunes. Apple and iTunes are the same thing. I don't know why I said that. On Spotify, wherever you listen to us on podcasts, and make sure to subscribe and smash that subscribe button on YouTube after you let us know which one is prettier.
CJ?
Yes?
I don't understand why you keep pitting us against each other when we are both equally beautiful.
Well, I'll let the listeners decide.
Okay.
We will see you next time.
Tell your friends about the podcast. Tell your enemies about the podcast.
Yes. And that is all.
That is all. Thanks, y'all.
Good night.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by Purple Banana Travel. If you're looking to book your next Walt Disney World Resort or Disneyland Resort vacation, reach out to Kate at Traveling on the Spectrum on Instagram. For everything from expert trip planning, tips on traveling with kids, and more, she's your travel agent that does it all. For a complimentary quote, contact her at kate@purplebananatravel.com and mention Park2Park Podcast. Again, that's Kate, CATE, at purplebananatravel.com.